started, some of you that were here just a little bit before everybody else, I asked you to consider on the piece of paper that I've got on the desk there, in the next 30 days, I would like to. I can't answer that question for you. I don't know what you'd like to do in the next 30 days. It may be something simple. It may be something large. For me, in the next 30 days, I'd like to see the King's Speech. I haven't seen it. I want to see it. I can be set as a simple goal for myself, but then it requires particular action items. First, I got to find out what my kids' schedules are, because that's what runs my life. Then I got to find out what my wife's schedule is, because that's going to take precedence over anything I want to do. And then I have to find out if she'll go with me. And then I got to go drive there. I got to buy tickets. So there's a process that goes through even in the simple things in life that we set for us to do. And even in the simple things, in the big things, it's the same story. And we've got to decide what those things are. We've got to decide how we're going to get those things done. And we have to constantly be thinking about it and processing it in order to work those things through. So ultimately, in talking about goals, so we're going to talk about today, I'm sure you've heard about goals a gajillion times in your life. But Brian Tracy offers a unique approach to this process in setting goals and getting those things accomplished. So we're going to be looking at his book today as a resource as we go through this. So you're here for two reasons today, one or the other, I'm sure. One, you're interested in goals and how you get those set for your life, or you're trying to disprove the economic theory that there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. But at the end of it, I hope you come out with a little bit more. With Tracy's book, one thing I do want to say about it, I had a friend of mine, he's 21, and he's kind of just trying to figure out where to go in life, just what next, what do I do? He had a couple of roadblocks thrown in the way. And I gave him this book to read, and he read the first chapter and he gave it back to me. He says, yeah, I'm not interested in anything like that. That's one of those get-rich-quick books. Brian Tracy in his book has a bit of fluff, I would argue, in here, but also one of the things he focuses in on particular sections is earning money. Because I don't know about you, but some people seem to care about that. It seems to be something that we all show up every day to work for. But I think that it's quick to get lost in those kind of things as to this is like a self-help book or a get-rich-quick book. It's not that at all. So if you pick this book up and read it, I want you to be able to discern through that as well. I think you really missed the point. And I'm going to try and drive that point home today about setting goals for ourselves with everything that's going on in our lives that we find most important to us. So those questions that we have to ask ourselves on a regular basis, I'm going to position a variety of questions that we need to ask ourselves, but just the simple things. I'd like to learn. I want my children to be able to. In 2 years, I'd like my job position to be. I've always dreamed of. The person I most want to be like is. I'd like to be a specialist at. I'd like to save blank amount of money. I'd like to give blank amount of money. I've dreamed of being a part of. I mean, these are questions that, probably, if we really admit it, we're asking ourselves on a regular basis. The question is, are we doing anything with the questioning that we have going on? And I'm going to provide a good list of good questions that we need to ask ourselves as we go through this process. So when it comes to setting goals, deciding what we want to accomplish, first off, we have to decide, what do we want? I want to be like Charlie Sheen. Okay, I don't know. Which ultimately means you want to be like Gary Busey. That was my post last night. Charlie Sheen has gone Gary Busey. What do you want? Obviously, that's not necessarily something somebody wants, but they may want to work on a TV show where they make $3 million an episode. I mean, it seems I could keep myself from acting like a nut job in order to keep that. What do you want? What do you value most? We're going to ask some of those questions. And also, if you decided what those things are, what have you done to achieve those things? Which is really the place that sometimes most people never get. When we ask the question, what do you want? Everyone's got an answer to that. What have you done to achieve it? There's seldom fewer answers to those things. So as we walk through this process, here's something I want you to consider. This is the great summary statement to all philosophies, all religions, all metaphysics, all psychology, and success is this. You become what you think about most of the time. I mean, truthfully, you become what you think about most of the time. The thing that you spend the most time on, the thing that you dwell on the most, is ultimately what makes you who you are and what's at your core. All of us, we come in here and we work in the insurance industry every day. So it's a part of what we are and who we are. Each of us have different functions within the organization, but ultimately we're focused in the realm of insurance or finance. I mean, we can get broader or we can get more narrow on that, but what we do, we're doing on a daily basis, and it's becoming a part of who we are. For Donna, it's digging into the accounting. For Robert, it's digging into the details of damage and a loss. But we're all becoming specialists at those things, and it's becoming a part of who we are, and also a part of how we define ourselves. Trey would define himself as a salesman. That's what he's doing. It's what he's spending his time on. It's where he spins his wheels. So it starts to define us. And those things we think about, whether it be here or outside of the office, are part of defining our person. Not only to others, but to ourselves as well. It becomes a self-reality of the things that we're spending our time on about who we are and what we're specialists at and what we know something about. And so we've got to just realize this truth when it comes to setting our goals, that where we spend our time or what we spend our time thinking about is ultimately going to be how we get defined or how we define ourselves. So we must set goals to achieve the visions that we have for our life. If we have particular visions for our life of what we want to be or what we wish to see happen, we've got to find those things, define those things, and take action on those things, because knowing direction is critical. Most people do not have a clue where they're going in life. And I can tell you there's a period of my life where I just didn't really know what direction I was going, and I really wasn't thinking about it either. Things were just kind of happening to me, or I was letting things just happen to me. And just kind of floundering through, and okay, all right, well, that is what it is, and that is what it is. Not really realizing that I could be defining those things for myself. Now, I would like to be a specialist at a variety of things, but until I decide what those things are and then start taking the action to do those things, I wasn't headed in those directions. There was no way I was going to grow in my ability or my skill or my knowledge because I wasn't choosing to. When it comes to things in life like spending time with my family, I mean, there was a large period of time where the career was consuming so much that I was just allowing it to encroach in all other areas. And so time with my kids was something that I was forsaking because I wasn't setting it apart as important. I wasn't thinking about it, and I wasn't taking action on those thoughts. And so no matter, whether it be finances, career, family, we're going to talk about that in a couple different places here. You can set these goals up for you, the things that you find most important, and be taking action on them on a regular basis, and be defining your person much better, and be doing the things you want to do and accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish. So please consider that as we go through it. The problem with this is there's a number of things that get in the way. And people don't set goals for a variety of reasons. One of the first reasons that people don't set goals is simply they don't think goals are important. It's kind of the place that I was, I would say, probably 15 years ago. Well, life just happens to you. Yeah, life does happen to us, but at the same time, we get to choose how we react to life. So many people just go, well, there's no need to set goals because stuff's just going to happen, and I'll just deal with it when it comes. And I think that's a bad philosophy. Don't know how. I can tell you that I've never really thought through the process of writing down goals and writing down actions and really just incubating over those type of things until I read Tracy's book. Someone challenged me to read the book. So I said, okay, I'll read the book because he asked me to. And it wasn't until after I read the book and dug through it that the principles that I'm talking about today became things that I infused into my life. So, the people don't think it's important, and they don't know how to do it. And I certainly remember being at a stage like that where I just didn't know, well, what do you mean, write down my goals? What does that look like? I want to rule the world. First action step. What are those things, realistically? Fear of failure. That's another reason we don't write things down. Because if we write it down, we put it in black and white, and we don't accomplish it, it seems like a failure for us. I can tell you when it comes to writing goals, and we'll talk about this as we go through it, sometimes you're going to hit the mark and sometimes you're not. But it doesn't remove it, and it doesn't mean you stop, and it doesn't mean you're frozen, it doesn't mean you can't go on. Okay? But fear of failure is the one reason people don't write things down, because if I write it down that I want to do it and I don't do it, some people can't deal with that fear of failure. So you got to get past that. And fear of rejection. As we determine things we want to accomplish in our lives, things we want to learn, tasks that we want to do, our career goals, whatever the case may be, there might be the chance that going through those processes will be rejected along the way. Not smart enough, good enough, have enough experience, whatever the case may be. We've got to get past those kind of things. We're going to be We're going to hit walls throughout life all the time. We're going to get rejection in many different paths that we go. We've got to just realize that's a part of the path and not allow it to keep us from just putting down the goal in the first place. Forgive me, it's hour 3, and the voice is going. So, where do we begin? Is the first thing that we've got to do before we get to our steps. In order to develop our goals, we must first start with, there is one key element if we're going to be successful with goals. One key thing that's got to be within us if we're going to take next steps. Any guesses? It's okay to be wrong. What do you got to have if you want to accomplish the goal? Determination, drive. Other ways we could define that? A plan is good, yes. Any others? Desire. Well, now you just hit the nail on the head. Because that's really what all those really envelop. They envelop desire. It is the one thing in business and in life in general, I wish I could put into a shot and just inject into somebody. Oh, you know what you need? You just need a little bit of desire. You know, you got to have some want to. You don't have any want to. I can't put that into somebody. I cannot make somebody have that. I cannot will it when I'm sitting in a meeting. I cannot will it when I'm sitting with a client. I cannot will it when I'm sitting with somebody that I'm working with, that they care about the project as much as I do, or that they find its importance and are willing to commit to it and get done what needs to get done. I cannot give somebody a desire. It comes from and absolutely from within. It's with any meeting that we come in here. As a good powwow meeting is the start of a year or mid-year, or whatever the case may be, or a sales meeting on the Al Banker side. Ultimately, nobody standing up here and nobody sitting next to you can give you the desire to do those things or push for those things. It's ultimately got to be something you've decided is something you do desire, and you push for it. Because if desire's not there, it's not, you're not going to go that direction. And that's why it's important to ask ourselves some questions about what it is we desire in order to know what goals we want to set for ourselves, and that kind of help guide our path. So you can't infuse it. You just got to have it, and it's got to be the guiding principle behind the goals that you set. So what gets in the way? Well, some other things that get in the way are my slide not moving fast enough. There we go. It's still not. Technology. There we go. No, I don't want to be there yet, do I? Yeah, I do want to be there. Okay. Fear. I'd just rather not deal with that. If something's going to go wrong, it's not going to turn out the way I had planned. Maybe my kids don't want to spend time with me. Maybe, my boss doesn't want me to get that license. I don't know. Whatever those things are. The fear just holds you. You got to get it out of the way. Self-pity. Woe's me. It's the Eeyore syndrome is what I call it. And this is just not going to go well for me today. I just might as well not even get out of bed. This is going to be a boring, exhausting day. It's that self-pity stuff that can just really get in the way. So you got to get rid of the Eeyore syndrome. In addition to that is envy. Wanting what other people have for all the wrong reasons. We really got to get past that. There's just always somebody who has more. And you've got to get that stuff out of your head, because it gives those feelings of inferiority, really is what comes out of that. There's always someone who knows more, someone who's experienced more, someone who has more, someone who's more talented, someone who has more time, someone who has more gifts, someone who's had more luck. And if we focus in on those things, it will just freeze us right where we are with our goals. Because we are always going to bump into those people in life. And if we bump into those people and look at the opportunity of knowing those people and being in relationship with those people, that is where the true advantage comes. Because then it's not the envy that takes place. It's the appreciation that takes place and the learning that you can get from those relationships that you really can appreciate. But always in life there's going to be those people, that always have more. It's like if Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Mark Zuckerberg got in a room and want to talk about money. One of them's always got more than the other. Does it matter about what they're going to do in the day-to-day? I'd argue it probably doesn't, unless they're investing in each other.